it's Kelsey. Welcome to my channel. This video is full of cleaning motivation. We tried to do some deep cleaning in some areas that have been neglected in our home just because it's been summer, and we tried to be outside as much as possible. So we took a week of just focusing on those neglected areas. Hopefully it gives you some motivation to tackle some areas that you have also been neglecting before fall is here, and start getting out the fall decorations. So that was my hope and plan. I also threw in my everyday bread, sandwich bread recipe, that I throw some sourdough starter in as well for the health benefits. It's nothing fancy, but it is the perfect sandwich bread. So simple, and I throw it all in my bread machine, you'll see. And then I also harvested some zinnias from my garden just to make the house. This is the first year that I planted flower seeds, and specifically zinnias, for the purpose of deterring bugs. And I will say I love it so much. I will now always plant wildflowers, any kind of flowers in with the garden, because they are so beautiful. They give such a whimsical vibe out there, and I just love it. So I hope this gives you some motivation. Here we go. So this is real life. We don't have dogs in the house or anything, so anything the kids drop under their seats pretty well stays there until I clean it up. And their chairs are kind of pushed up against the wall, and I'd have to move the table like I did to be able to clean under it. So this was long overdue. as you can see, as a more veteran mom, why I always tell my new mom friends who are like pregnant and expecting to pick high chairs and booster seats that are so simple, that don't have a whole bunch of little crevices that crumbs could get into, because if they can get in there, they will. And then here I am cleaning with some lemon essential oil with my Enviro cloth. Is just an antibacterial microfiber cloth that I like to use everywhere. Essential oils and the microfiber cloth really pair well together. And then this is just a really sticky like syrup spot that's been on there for a while, and I just threw some lemon on it. It didn't quite get all of it. So then I use my pastry scraper that I like to use when making bread to just chip off the rest of it. Okay, so random, but I just wanted to talk about something I learned recently that we don't learn about in school, but is so helpful and useful for us women, and that is cycle syncing. And so we have different phases throughout our cycle of the whole, menstruation cycle. The first stage is the follicular stage. This phase begins after your period is over and reproductive hormones are low. Your energy begins to rise, and slight increase in estrogen may spark curiosity and creativity. Take advantage of this time by brainstorming, planning new projects, and laying out new thoughts or ideas. And then the ovulatory phase is the time when you're obviously ovulating and you feel the most energized, confident, and social. Studies have shown that verbal and social areas of the brain are most active around ovulation, meaning it's a great time to network, problem solve, and have important conversations. And then the last phase before menstruation would be the luteal phase. It begins after ovulation and it's the longest phase. Unfortunately, it is the phase with energy levels typically decrease and productivity isn't necessarily gone, but it looks a little different at times throughout this cycle. So it says to focus your energy you have during this period on getting organized, building systems and routine, and pull your focus inward. Then the last one, of course, our period. Everyone knows how that one goes. But just super interesting to me, because I will say I videoed this during my ovulatory phase, which is supposed to be the most productive phase. So it was the week of that. So I don't know, super interesting. I think if we, turn inward and listen to our bodies, and I think that does help with productivity and just realizing when you need to rest and when you do have that urge to go do things, it's probably lined up with your cycle. God really made us perfectly, and it's just super interesting to me, so I wanted to share. So now I'm curious, has anyone heard of this before? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. I just love the idea of intentionally taking advantage of the different phases in our cycle and leaning into our body's rhythm the way God designed us. Okay, well, just food for thought on that. Now back to talking about how disgusting my stovetop has gotten because I cook and then I'm off to doing something else. So now I'm giving it the tender loving care that it deserves. And I sweet talked my husband into doing this task. I am going to be so grateful for this act of service when the weather starts getting a little bit cooler and I can open the windows and enjoy the fresh air. Okay, the weather was so beautiful this day, so the kids were out playing in the grass, and I just went in and grabbed all of the baskets that I have been throwing toys in throughout pretty well the summer. I probably haven't done this since the spring, but in those quick pickup, just trying to get the room put back together, I've been throwing toys into these baskets, and now I'm actually sitting here and taking the time to kind of reorganize all of the toys. My kids play so much better with them when they're organized, so I am just sorting them out, putting all the farm animals with the farm animals, the jungle animals, the Barbies, the tools, and such. And then I went out to the jungle garden. You know, it's the end of summer when the garden is just being overtaken by weeds, but cut some beautiful zinnias and some just random weeds from our brush for greenery, and then I put them into a mason jar. Okay, then last but not least, my just everyday sandwich bread recipe. It is 2 tablespoons of butter that I melt, and then also a little bit extra to grease the bread pan, 1 cup and 1 tablespoon of water, 1 teaspoon of dried instant yeast, 2 tablespoons of 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of honey, 2.5 cups of flour, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then I throw in 1/4 a cup of sourdough starter. And it can be discard, it can be bubbly, either or. And then I throw all of it into my bread machine and put it on the dough setting. I let it go in there for about 1.5 hours, runs through the whole cycle, and then I move it to my bread pan and let it rise in there for up to an hour. Don't want to overproof. Then I'll throw it into the oven for about 30 minutes on 350. And it could be shorter than an hour. It by no means needs to rise for another hour. But I really prefer this method of letting the bread machine do the work of the kneading and such, and then baking it in the oven in a bread pan compared to the bread machine baking it. I noticed the difference in the texture, and I feel like it's more like the store-bought bread, sandwich bread. I like the shape of it better, so that's why I put it into a pan. It could definitely be baked into the bread machine, and sometimes I do it if I know I'm not going to be here to switch it over to the pan. But yeah, I hope that you try it because it is so good and so easy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it gives you motivation to go get it all done. My name is Kelsey. I live on a small farm with my husband and 2 children. I enjoy cooking food from scratch and sharing some non-toxic cleaning motivation. We are beginner first-generation homesteaders. We homeschool, and we would love to have you hang out. So if you enjoy these types of videos, please be sure to like and subscribe.